snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys, I am here today to do a joint review, and the two books that I'm going to be talking about are The Just City, which is by Jo Walton, and Prince of Fools, which is by Mark Lawrence. I listened to this one on audiobook and I have it on Kindle, so I don't have the physical one to show you. So let's get started. The first one I want to talk about is The Just City, which is by Jo Walton. This one was given to me for my birthday and I was very, very excited to have it because I hadn't read any other Jo Walton books and I'd heard nothing but great things about her. We also planned to do a buddy read of this. I think it was me, Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts, Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings, and Alicia from Ex Libris, and I think there might have been a few other people as well. I'll link them all down below. We all picked this one up because we were all very excited about it. Basically, it revolves around the idea of the Just City, which was a theory that Plato came up with a long, long time ago. He basically theorized back in Greek times, ancient Greek times, that if you took a load of people and put them on this island away from everything and made them work alongside each other, made men and women equal, and made a load of 10-year-old children come onto the island and follow a kind of rule book that he laid out, then it would be the Just City. Everything would be perfect. So that was kind of the theory that he was working off of. And in this book we follow various different characters as they go through a trial run of the Just City, which is started by Athene and Apollo. They are the gods. Athene is the one who decides she wants to make this, and Apollo decides he wants to go and be a part of it. So he decides he's going to become mortal and he's going to go and become part of the Just City and be a human who experiences it and sort of understand whether or not it's working, whilst Athene and the other gods who are involved decide that they're going to watch over them and kind of be in control of the rule book, essentially. The idea of this book sounded fascinating. I'd never really read anything about Plato's Republic or the Just City, so it was kind of really interesting to see all the ancient Greek influence and the references to all of the gods, because I have done some study into ancient Greece when I did my history of art class, because we did study into ancient Rome and ancient Greece, but I haven't done an awful lot, so kind of recapping it was great with this book. The main complaint I have with this was that it felt a little bit preachy at times, and you kind of knew from the outset that the Just City wasn't necessarily going to work. It was an idea that was theorised but maybe wasn't going to be that great in practicality, and that's definitely proven throughout the course of the book. There is an extract or section that kind of focuses on robots and sentience, and I really enjoyed that, which I was the odd one out in the group because I think everyone else didn't like that bit, but I really did. It was more of a sci-fi element and I think that kind of worked for me. Overall, this book just didn't feel as though it was a fully fledged awesome story. It just kind of felt like it was showing you how this experiment would fail. And you got these characters that I never really got that attached to. We follow one of the young girls who is put on the island when she's age 11, and she grows up there and she kind of sticks to the regimes. We also follow a tutor who is on the island. She's in charge of the children and kind of teaching them the ways that they have to behave and what they've got to do in order to uphold the Republic's rules. And we also follow Apollo himself in his human form a bit later on, and yeah, it's an interesting story for sure. I ended up kind of being a bit torn about what to give this. I do have another book by Jo Walton, which is Among Others, and I've heard so many good things about that one, and I know a lot of people loved that one but didn't like this one, so I'm intrigued to pick that one up at some point. But this one I ended up giving a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It was very, very interesting at times, but also a bit preachy, a little bit over the top, and kind of predictable in places, so I kind of had to dock some stars for that. So that's my thoughts on The Just City by Jo Walton. Next I'll talk about The Prince of Fools, which is by Mark Lawrence. This is the second trilogy by him. The first one, beginning with Prince of Thorns, is The Broken Empire, and this is kind of a continuation of that series. It's told in parallel, so the timeline is the same as it is in the Broken Empire series, but we have a different main character and we're focusing on a different part of the world. So we are following Jarlan in this one, who is from Red March, and this is kind of set in a futuristic dystopian version of Earth, and there's all sorts of crazy things that past generations left behind in the world, and we follow him. He is the fourth son in line for the throne, so he's very far down in terms of being allowed to go on the throne, but he's quite a sarcastic, cowardly character. He's quite unreliable as a narrator, and you never really know if he's telling the truth or not, which is a very interesting element to the story. I felt like he had some great moments of humour and wit, which were, again, very entertaining, but I didn't quite connect with him on the same level as I did with Jorg, which, being as this is a first person and Jorg's story is third person mostly, I didn't think that really worked as well for me. We also meet another character called Snorri, and Snorri and Jarlan end up being bound together by a spell quite early in the book, and then they have to kind of go on this quest to see if they can get this spell undone. And that's kind of the major focus of the book, is this travelling around trying to get help and find out what's going to happen to them, and sort of along the way they discover more about their magic and just generally the world, because neither of them have explored humongously, so especially Jarlan, who is quite stuck up, quite spoiled, and kind of lives in the life of luxury at home and is not used to living it rough, and so he's an interesting one to see out of his comfort zone. I think this had potential, and I think the ending of this book was pretty interesting, especially how it all wraps up, but I do think that it needed a bit more for me to really connect with it. I did feel like it was a fairly stereotypical plot, and the plot itself was quite weak. The world building in this is pretty weak as well, because it kind of relies on you having read the first series to know exactly what the world is like. But we do get some cameo moments from people in the other series, and I did really enjoy that. So on the whole, I liked it, and I thought it was interesting to read. It was very easy to get through, but it didn't really grip me in the same way as the previous trilogy. So I only gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. But I do own the second one in the series, The Liar's Key, and I'm quite hopeful that that one will pick up from where this one left off and be quite interesting, judging on how it ends. So I'm very intrigued about it. I would love to hear if you guys have read either The Just City or Prince of Fools. Do let me know in the comments below what you thought of them if you have, or if